Markers out at sea show the maritime border between Lebanon and Israel. The two countries, still formally at war after decades of conflict, have launched talks to address a long-running dispute over the frontier, which runs through waters believed to be rich in natural gas. The US-mediated talks were brief, barely over an hour, but will be followed by more in 2 weeks. They were hosted by a United Nations peacekeeping force, UNIFIL, at its base on the border in South Lebanon. They follow 3 years of diplomacy by Washington and were announced after it stepped up pressure on allies of Lebanon's Iran-backed Hezbollah. Hezbollah says the border talks aren't a sign of peacemaking with its longtime enemy, though the handful of pro-peace demonstrators gathered at the checkpoint on Israel's side clearly hoped otherwise. The talks also come soon after the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain agreed to establish full relations with Israel. Israel's energy minister also said expectations should be realistic, and that the talks were to solve a technical economic dispute. Disagreement over the sea border has discouraged oil and gas exploration near the disputed line. Israel already pumps gas from huge offshore fields, so it's a minor irritation. But for Lebanon, in economic meltdown and desperate for cash, the issue is more pressing. The UN peacekeepers have patrolled the border between the two foes since Israel withdrew from South Lebanon in 2000, ending an occupation that lasted more than 2 decades.